So let's go to that second capability, the automated process controls that are enforced through that automation engine. Again, the key challenge here is that with that backdrop of you have different teams using different technologies, but they also have different processes that are being used. They're ad hoc, they're manual, lots of back and forth. There's no consistent governance process being enforced across all those different technologies. ModelOp Center provides a consistent but automated way to actually enforce the governance process. So let's take a look at that. Back in ModelOp Center, I've now gone to the Model Lifecycle section, where here are the variety of different governance processes that have been represented in ModelOp Center. And we specifically designed our software because we knew that there would be different processes depending on, say, the risk of the model, if it's a high risk versus a low risk, whether it's an internally developed model or, say, a cloud-based or vendor model. You can represent those different governance processes based on the different technology type or even the risk tiering or materiality. But if we look at one specific one, this is where you can see that actually this is more than just a pretty diagram, but rather we are actually representing the governance process, and they become live automation, so we're ensuring every single step in the governance process is followed. For example, this is actually baking in some of the best practices from in the financial world, the SR 11.7 from the Department of Treasury OCC, where every single AI or ML or just traditional model needs to first, when you have an idea, go through a risk tiering to understand, is this a high risk, a low risk, a medium risk? We need to determine what that risk is before you can actually build the model. So to show, again, that this is more than just a pretty diagram, I've gone ahead and I'm going to switch hats to that of a model or business owner that has this idea for this financial advisor AI assistant, where they're going to use an LLM to really help with equity research type questions. So as a model or business owner, I say, I have this idea. Let me go ahead and submit that to ModelOp so we can track it. And you can see automatically this governance process has recognized that there's a new AI use case or system that's being proposed. And the first task or the first step in the governance process, again, requires that we determine the appropriate metadata. And if there's any metadata missed, it prompts you to go ahead and provide that. So if I come back to my use case as that model or business owner, I see that, well, indeed, I missed a couple of key pieces of information about this use case, and I can't proceed until I provide it. So again, you go from this place before ModelOp Center where everything is manual, it's ad hoc, it's often inconsistent or unknown of what I need to do from a governance process, to one that is consistent, automated, and actually prompts the various entities or stakeholders to provide what is needed at that point in time. I'm not going to go through this whole process, but again, this is representing a typical, very typical governance process guided by the Department of Treasury, where we provide the inputs, we get sign off on the risk tiering, and then you build the model. This is where ModelOp Center is actually hands-off. You can develop it with open source tools, cloud-based tools like an AWS SageMaker. You can use a vendor model like GPT-4. And ultimately, ModelOp Center is waiting from a governance perspective until when you have these candidate models that you're ready to proceed. Ultimately, as part of best practice and many regulation is to run a series of standardized tests to ensure that you're looking for the stability or robustness, performance, ethical fairness of these AI systems before they're put into production. If they're not, identify the potential risks around those. So ModelOp, again, helps to automate much of that process where we are actually using our out-of-the-box tests. We're taking the model and the data related to the model. We're running a series of tests and ultimately producing test results that identify where there might be potential risk. If we go back to my use case here around the LLM, we ran that series of tests in ModelOp Center and we noticed a couple of risks that we identified. One, that there's guardrails, detected potential PII leakage, and also the accuracy scores were below 50%, where in the LLM world, they call those hallucinations could have occurred. But ultimately, like it says mentioned, that we are actually running these tests. We're producing results from a variety of different aspects. In the case of an LLM, we're looking to make sure there's the right prompt files. We're looking at the sentiment around it to make sure it's not overly negative. We're looking for PII leakage, most frequent nouns and verbs. And we're also using cross-LLM techniques to check into the facts as well as the accuracy behind it. But all the while, we're constantly and automatically running these tests. We're collecting the results, we're running it against threshold, and we're identifying risks. It provides that consistent way to ensure that every step in the process is followed and that we're collecting the evidence along the way.